Ooh. What is going on? Are you there, Scott?
I'm here. What are you asking this question for?
Well,
What do you mean, like, what's going on? Like hit the hip kids?
Yeah, holy shit, are we alive?
I believe we are.
How did we do that?
I don't know. I guess you just must have hit the right button accidentally.
My God, my goodness. That's amazing. Anyway, so it looks like we're live, but if nobody... Oh, my God. Hang on.
Manga, what was that? Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight on SNATA? Everybody, well, I'm going to put the link out here. I think Speed already has, but we'd sure have.
Yeah, we're going to shoot it in the head pretty quick. We're not.
If you're ready to shoot her in the head, fine. But Randolph says he's going to come in, or he'd be happy to come in.
Nobody's coming in, so what the hell? I think we'll just shoot her in the head.
Well, we have to kind of chit chat till people get the nerve up.
What are we going to talk about, Scott?
I don't know. Wasn't that a great presentation that Andrew did earlier?
I can tell you about my happy day.
Tell me about your happy day. Did you have a happy day?
I turned the vacuum cleaner on, and I drug it around my room, and it sucked up a whole bunch of dirt.
Oh man, all that dirt you were saving for later when you might need it.
Yeah, but the cool thing is the kitties disappeared for 4 hours, and I didn't have to pet them, but they're back now, so I'm gonna have to do it again.
They had to go see their kitty therapist about the trauma.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw a lift out in the driveway, so I'm pretty sure they called a lift. Got the hell out of here. But anyway, they got over the trauma. Oh, well,
they appear to have gotten over the trauma, but you know how trauma is.
I know it comes back on you.
You have to live with it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So, hey, did you watch that Gerstreams thing on gun control?
I did notice they were talking about gun control.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't get into political stuff, especially if it's going to get heated or something. So I just decided to pass it by.
Yeah. So Knock has an interesting view. He would prefer that, we got rid of all guns, but
Knock would?
Yeah. Yet he seems to understand that we can't do that. And when I was talking to Nick out at Faithless Forum, we were talking about the same thing. If we could magically get rid of all guns, and get rid of the black market trade and everything, then most of us would say, yeah, okay, that's fair. Let's give them up. But being from Minnesota and living with a pack of coyotes in a backyard, which a few of them have interbred with wolves, and they're quite large. They're the size of a large German Shepherd. And they look pretty powerful. And, and then just having grown up on a farm, it's really hard for me to imagine living without a gun, without a handgun maybe, but then I don't know. It's an interesting, but that ain't going to happen. So nobody really seriously considers, Americans giving up their guns entirely. But
yeah, it's just something that, well, I don't know. For people who hunt and things like that, I wouldn't want them to give up their hunting rifles,
right?
And shotguns and things. But I don't guess you hunt with a shotgun, but still, that's there's been legitimate uses for personal weapons for quite a while, but they're so easy to get, and there's basically very little between your temper and that gun to prevent crimes from happening that would not have happened had you not had that gun. And that's the problem. That's the sadness of it.
Well, yeah, the thing that I always think about is that what would it be like if somebody who had a gun did try to break into my house and try to hurt me? And if I had absolutely no recourse at all, and it seems like that's a basic right or a basic freedom. Right? to be able to defend yourself, you know. But you could, of course, you could do that with a good shotgun or a rifle. But I don't know. But it's the thing about how easy it is to get guns. Like in Minnesota, you have to pass a federal background check. But then
Right.
the federal background check, I'm not sure how rigid they are. The first time you do it, I think it takes about 3 days. And then, but if you have a carry permit or you have a permit to purchase, then you can get a gun within a couple hours. You know, if you've already gone through that razor.
Right. Right.
But then there's you can buy guns privately, and I think that should be stopped. I think the background check should require a mental health evaluation. And if you're not willing to get a mental health evaluation, you don't get a gun. Mm-hmm. And that one would be fairly unpopular. Now, and one of the reasons it would be unpopular is I'm pretty sure somebody would include alcoholism in that mix. And if you've ever been in treatment for alcoholism, and I have, then that would really irritate me. That would irritate me. So, I mean, there's always, you know, these, with any law they try to do, there's always going to be these, this battle between how much do you put in a law, how restrictive it is it, how many people are you going to piss off? And it seems like the people that want to do gun control legislation pretty much have their heads up their asses as far as what they can get passed, because they put too much in the bill. Or they'll put some ridiculous thing in the bill like school funding, school lunch funding, you know, plus gun control, or condoms for kiddies, or some stupid thing that doesn't belong in the fucking bill.
It's almost like they really don't mean it.
Yeah, they'll try to overextend it. And I think they do a little bit of that so they have throwaways so they can compromise or negotiate. But fundamentally, I think our legislation is fucking flawed because we can't get common sense things passed, like not letting mentally ill people buy a gun. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I don't understand how that would be so hard for somebody to sit down, like a bunch of Republicans and Democrats together, holding hands, sit down and figure out what in the fuck you have to do. I mean, it isn't that hard to understand that mentally ill people shouldn't have guns, and even normal people occasionally in their lives, their family and friends notice that they've crept over the edge and they perhaps need to have their guns put on hold for a little while. And that would be called a red flag law. And I don't see why we can't get those passed. But of course, we can't get those passed because people imagine that, oh, if we have a red flag law, well, then my ex-wife who's mad at me might call up and say, take his guns away just to get even with me. And it's like, okay, I understand that happened once or twice. Like it happened once, I think, in Montana. But I mean, it happens like very rarely where somebody uses the red flag law to remove somebody's guns. So, I mean, what are they worried about? It isn't going to happen to everybody. And it's like, and the worst of it is you give up your guns for 2 weeks until you can go back and prove that you're competent and get them back. And I just don't understand the objection to common sense gun laws. Yeah, I don't know, but it's just like, it seems like both sides want to go too far, and hence nothing gets done. And I don't understand the nothing gets done part.
Right. It's almost like they don't want to get things done.
What are we talking about?
Politics, which I hate talking about.
That isn't politics. That's fucking common sense. You know,
Well, it is current issues.
It's current issues, yeah. Yeah, current issues, like in Michigan, where how many kids got killed for? 14 wounded or something like that. And that was ridiculous, that whole thing. I don't know. Hard to say. Anyway, so what was that discussion about on Bread of Life?
Morality.
Who was talking? Okay, so who is Lance S. Bush?
I don't know.
Did you listen to the debate?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, is he a Christian or is he?
Oh,
What is his?
Particular atheist
What's his?
or
What's
agnostic.
okay? So, what was the argument? Real or not real? Only real with God. So, what was the upshot?
Then, huh?
What was the upshot of the whole debate? Summarize it. What was said? What was the deal?
Well,
You don't understand the question.
They basically just define morality, and then it's like, as a Christian person, as she is, she doesn't understand how normal people that don't believe in God can be moral or something. That's
So
why
Rebecca
she even
doesn't
asked.
understand it.
It's what
She
it seems
doesn't.
like. She even asked me.
Well, does she believe that people that don't believe in God are moral or do make moral choices?
She thinks it comes from God.
Okay, which is the same as it comes from inside of us, right? So I mean that's common ground.
She doesn't understand how our brains work and how society or culture and our evolution of survival, and from how we even. I mean, if we're dead, then how could we reproduce? If everybody,
Didn't somebody do a study of moral development based on there's a Frenchman who studied childhood development, but Piaget, I think, and then somebody took and did a study of moral development along the lines of Piaget, and I wonder who that was, but because it was a pretty fascinating publication, because it dealt with how was Martin Luther King Jr. morally different from other people, and it was a fast, but I can't recall it enough. I wondered if anybody had any idea about that. Maybe Danny out there who might have studied morals.
Okay, so it was a disagreement between Lance and Fodor. So what was the disagreement, Danny? Frustrated each other. Rebecca was mostly moderating. Okay, so it wasn't about Rebecca. It was
it
about.
didn't have to be.
So what was Lance's position?
I thought she was just what their morals or what they thought about morals or something. I don't really know how to recall like that. My mind doesn't think like that.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
have to have it here now.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Here we go. Now you can't see it without blowing it up, huh?
I could blow you up. It's a little more real.
Danny, thanks for praying for me the other day. Did you have traveling mercies to your movie, Danny? I prayed for traveling mercies for Danny.
What did Danny do? What did Danny do now?
The other day on some side chat somewhere, he said he would pray for me, and that's kind of surprised me. Oh, but for Jacob because of the COVID thing, and I asked him, well, who are you going to pray to? And he said, Jesus, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And then I asked him to tell Jesus happy birthday for me. And the other day he was going to go to the Spider-Man movie, and I just said I'd pray for him for traveling mercy. So apparently Danny's a Christian now. Yeah,
he is. We've known that all along. But anyway, okay, Lance is a moral anti-realist. Fodor is not. So Fodor would be a moral realist, as I am. Lance was pressing Fodor for an argument for moral anti-realism. So why was Lance pressing Fodor for an argument for his own position? That doesn't. What am I missing here? Okay, am I reading that right, Scott? Lance was pressing Fodor for an argument for moral realism, right? Is that what you meant, Danny? I think Danny meant realism. Oh, okay. sorry, Lance was pressing Fodor for an argument against moral realism. Oh, wait a minute. No, I thought Lance was the anti-realist. I'm confused.
You want to invite Danny in to clarify it?
Fuck no. No. Fuck no.
I mean, he might as well come in and talk about it. That's what we're wanting is people to talk here on SNATA.
Okay, we have moral anti-realism, which is Lance's position. Lance is moral anti-realist. Fodor is not. So what is Fodor? What is his position? Wouldn't Lance be pressing Fodor for an argument for Fodor's position? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that Fodor. So he pressed Fodor for a definition.
You can take me down.
Take it down a notch.
Take it down?
I mean, yeah.
I have
Thank
no
you.
idea. I don't know. Danny wanted to leave, so I give him 5 minutes. Right. That's fair.
I just got a call from my spammer.
Huh?
No, I
Hey there.
that's my bad. I seriously messed up twice what I was trying to say. So Lance is a. Oh, I can hear myself. 1 second. Let me get. Okay, sorry. Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. Lance is a moral anti. I messed up. That was my bad. Lance is a moral anti-realist. Fodor is a moral realist. Lance is a PhD student in psychology with respect to morality. What do people mean and think about moral concepts, moral statements? And he's done a lot of research on that. He's also philosophically trained, so he's very familiar with ethics in general. But he's an anti-realist. He specializes in criticizing moral realism and was pressing Fodor for an argument for moral realism. Okay?
That's better. Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. But Fodor couldn't provide it, and there was a lot of frustration. Fodor tried to press Lance for an argument against anti-realism, but then Lance was like, I'm not here for that. I'm just interested in critiques of moral realism. So you can go ahead and give me your accounts, right? But that was that's what happened, right? I have to go.
So what were some of Fodor's attempts to?
Well, he tried. So a lot of moral realists, like Derek Parfit, tried to ground external obligations, like moral truths out there outside of your mind, in terms of reasons, right? So there are reasons out there in the world outside of people's opinions and stuff. And I agree with Lance. I don't know what the hell that means. I think reasons are internal. But anyways, what Lance tried to press Fodor in doing is really elucidating the concept of an external reason, and Fodor just did not do that at all. And there was frustration in the conversation. It was actually pretty entertaining for me but Lance is pretty up there. He's a true academic. So
I don't know how in the hell Fodor could have defended that position, actually, myself. So I don't know.
It's not easy to defend. I don't know how. I think it's indefensible.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense.
Right. Yeah. But
now, when I call myself a moral realist, what I mean about that is that most human beings have a common core of morality that we all develop basically as organisms naturally.
have you ever heard of constructivism? Like the ideas that, and I think this works for naturalist or non-naturalist views, but some people think that there are moral truths built into agency. So part of what it means to be an agent is to recognize certain moral truths.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
But there are different versions of that, right? I am a constructivist about certain norms about like truth. Like I think that part of being an agent is caring about truth. You know, I mean, just that's what a kind of what a belief is, some kind of orientation to truth, right? So,
Right.
but then like you have people like Immanuel Kant that take it a lot further than that, right? He would want to build more stuff into it, like the categorical imperative and more moral built-inness stuff. But I take a very thin, I don't think it's that many norms, in other words. But yeah, so there's you might want to look into constructivism about morality if that seems like kind of what you're saying. Is it time to eat, guys? Okay, I gotta go. I told you I had to go. So. But that's
Okay,
I'm
thanks,
sorry.
Eddie. Yes, I thought my mind was going.
Yeah, no, and then the worst thing is when I tried to correct myself, I did the same mistake.
You said the same thing.
Yeah, I said the same thing or something similar. Okay, I'll see y'all later.
Okay, bye.
Well, that wasn't so bad, was it, Speed?
I'm taking a drink.
Randolph Richardson.
Hello.
What's going on in Canada? Tell us a Canadian story today.
You know, the first time I connect to these, everything kind of comes and goes for a moment, and then I can hear everybody. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, what's going on in Canada? Tell us a Canadian story.
Oh, Canadian story. Well, we got a little bit of snow on Friday morning, but it melted right away. But this is southern West Canada, so it's not as warm here. It's not as cold here as further north. So there's a lot of snow dumping up north. It's
so you're sort of the Death Valley of Canada.
No, that would be Alberta.
Randolph, we got 15 inches of snow.
Wow.
And then it melted in one day because the temperature went up to 60 above. And then we got a tornado in Minnesota in December.
Okay, so that 15 inches, that's probably close to 40 centimeters. That's a lot of snow. That's great. But melting in one day, that's a lot of heat too.
I take it that the imperialist or imperial whatever measuring system isn't your default.
No, we're like the rest of the world. We use metric.
Yeah.
Centimeters.
I have to always do the conversion into centimeters or whatever, but
yeah, it's the U.S. and I did a rough approximation. It's probably not quite exactly right, but it's I know the U.S. and Burma and one other place use well, Burma's the old name for it now, but they use imperial, and the rest of the world's all on metric. So I remember the U.S. was moving toward metric for a while, and then due to some political stuff, it all got halted.
I remember math books really emphasizing that a lot when I was in elementary school, and then we never heard about it again.
It didn't go over so well.
Yeah, it just did. It kind of just flopped.
Well, it wasn't unanimous. I mean, it wasn't like you still, I don't know, you still had all the labels that were the same, and the people just forgot about it. So it was like, it was almost like the teachers one day decided to aggravate us all for about 2 years and pick on us, and then everybody forgot about it. And then that was the end of it. I really wish they had continued it, but
I know
a lot of people say that. Yeah,
a lot of science documentaries and things like that will just use metric.
Yeah.
And here I am in my brain just trying to convert everything.
Star Trek uses metric.
Yeah, and if they had forced us, I mean, if they'd really made a powerful move to do it, they would have changed labeling and everything, and everybody would have gotten used to it in 6 months. 2 months. 1 month.
Well, maybe more like 6 years for a lot of people, but it would catch on. But 6 months for most makes sense.
Yeah,
because you're immersed it and forced it, and it's just you're not changing the language. You're just making one minor change to how things are measured. Hello, Orge 343.
Yeah, he's really getting heated about that moral philosophy.
Oh, yesterday I was on Tom Jump's channel, and there's somebody came in who just couldn't stop talking. It's one of those type wall of text types. Anyway, he claimed that every society on the planet has, in all of human history, has that Christianity was the catalyst for it. So then I asked about if he could explain how Christianity was a catalyst for the Paraha people. And if for those who aren't familiar with the Paraha people, it's a tribe, I believe, in the Amazon rainforest that has a language with in their language, they have no words for goddesses or gods. They don't have religions. They're completely atheistic. And there was a Christian missionary who traveled there and tried to bring the word of Jesus to them. And when he was telling them about it, apparently in his writings, he's saying that they thought, oh, it's a story. And then and he said, oh no, people believe this stuff. He says, and they all laughed at him. Who would believe this kind of thing? They didn't believe him. And then by the end of it, when he came back, he's not a Christian anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the way I am with my life. I mean, it's like, I grew up and my kids too, they just don't believe that anybody can believe this stuff. I mean, because if you aren't introduced to it with a real strong arm when you're a child,
you're not immersed in it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're really going to think of it as more like Santa Claus or unicorns.
Sure. Yeah. 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 And that's why the church has pushed so hard to get children involved, because they know that if you get people when they're young, it tends to be more likely that it's going to be a lifelong thing for people. That's what they want. They want more believers, more followers. They want a bigger demographic.
Yeah, this whole subjectivism thing where basically it is possible for humans to believe any damn thing they want.
Yep.
Whether it has any factual basis at all.
And there's nothing special about religion. It's just another belief, the way I see it.
Yeah.
Deities. But the people who believe it and make it part of their identity see it as very special and deserving of a special pass. And I'm not going in that direction at all with them, as I know you're not either. And so that guy never did respond to my question. He ended up moving on to because he didn't want to address it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you caught it the other day. I was talking about a situation where basically I was cautioned not to talk about my atheism or to hide the fact that I'm an atheist, because I would have gone into a religious environment and I would have offended the religious people. And I made the point that they offend me if they talk about, And it just seems like kind of what you're involved in is the one-sidedness with atheism. Like atheism,
rules.
I mean,
they want you to be ashamed of it, and what they're really doing by telling people to not speak up about it. Like, I'm not going out of my way to advertise it when I'm in those environments, but if somebody asks me, I'll just answer them straightforward. It's like, no, I don't, and that's that. And the problem is, if they can push very subtly to say you need to hide this, then that lays a foundation for you feeling ashamed about it. And there's nothing shameful about not believing something.
Yeah, but this came from fellow atheists.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who?
My kids.
Your kids? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
because they don't want to be set apart and pointed to as being different. They don't want to be otherized. You're talking about your kids when they were actually kids?
No, your kids, is this a community that's important to them? Because if that's the case, it could be that they see you as being kind of an activist and they don't want you to be there confronting people, maybe what they're mainly trying to say, and just not choosing their words.
It's our consulting company. So.
Oh, yeah, you want to keep this stuff out of the business as much as possible. Like when I'm going to see clients doing computer support, this doesn't come up. With a couple of people it has, but
this is also the group of people that he said that hookers or dead hookers are your spirit animal.
Yep, I did.
Yeah, so
I did say that. So I understand why my kids are a little cautious of me. But anyway, no, Randolph, this was a Christmas party. This was not a company. It was a company-sponsored Christmas party, but it was not client-facing. It was employees. And,
Speed, did you drink at the stack party?
And the employees already know this about you, I guess.
The what party?
Speed, you drank at the stack party, didn't you?
Staff party.
Staff.
Oh, staff party.
STAFF. staff.
I didn't go to the staff. I didn't end up going because I basically don't feel comfortable if I have to censor myself.
Wait,
Because-
I just want you guys to know I was saying stag party, STAG, like a party that's just
stag.
for,
I
yeah,
thought you
like
meant
a
stag.
party that's just for men.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry,
you drank
little-
it. You drank at the stag party, didn't you, Speed?
We all
The last-
misunderstood you.
yeah. The last stag party I went to, I drank at. Yep. Which was never.
Like 3 years ago.
I've never been to a fucking stag party. We didn't do that where I come from. That's just stupid. It's just-
We had cornfield parties. That's what we had.
yeah, cornfield. We had pit parties.
Mhm.
You know, in the mining pits. You know, we didn't have stag parties.
Well, our pit parties weren't at mining pits. They were at like fishing pits. You know, like
Oh,
from pulling out gravel and shit. I know you know what I'm talking about. Speed.
Quarries.
Yep.
Yeah, quarry party. Yeah, same thing. Same principle. So anyway.
Oh, they're so fucking fun. Because
Yeah,
they're in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing around you but big ass piles of gravel. Like nothing's gonna burn down. It's all rock. Nobody can see you. Nobody can hear you. I mean,
Now, so to get back to this a little bit, like we were touching on this idea that we should be ashamed, and this is how they hide their insecurity about their own beliefs, and so they're trying to sabotage everybody else who doesn't agree with them, and so it's a subtle game of sabotage, is what it is, and I don't play it.
Well, it's like, they're offended by people who say they're atheists. If you say you're an atheist, they are offended by that, and it's like, okay. And
that's a manipulation tactic. That's their choice to be offended about something like that. If they truly value intellectual sovereignty, as I call it, the freedom to choose for ourselves, basically, and think for ourselves, then they wouldn't be offended by this.
exactly.
Because they want you to conform, and what they're conditioned to find offensive is that you're not conforming because you are your own leader.
yeah, it's almost like the Christian position is superior to any other position
Oh, that's what they think.
in that it's more soft and warm and special. And us atheists, we just want to come in and just fuck the
Eat
China,
babies.
right? Eat babies and and just tear things up. But the problem is that most of what I do is concerned with creationism in this channel, and the fight against pseudoscience. From that particular right.
Comment to that really quickly. Something about your channel. I actually really enjoyed the stream you guys did with Andrew earlier today. That was really good.
Oh, good.
I wasn't really able to comment as much or come in towards the end because I was at a buddy's house watching his dogs, and the laptop I was on was already, since I had it, watching streams and shit all day, I was already at pretty low battery, so I didn't want to hop in and
Be sure
end
to
up
tell
fucking
Andrew
dying. But
Andrew was a little. I think it was in the back room, but he was questioning whether we should keep doing it.
keep doing what? The irrational empiricist rants?
Yeah.
I like them.
Okay.
I think that is somebody who at his age, to have your thoughts that well put together and to understand these subjects. And when I say understand these subjects, not that I'm trying to offend people like this, but I'm not talking about somebody that just has this, what's the word I'm looking for? This casual interest. I'm talking about understanding it at a little bit more of a technical, a little bit more of a nuanced level. Obviously, I think Andrew would agree that he's not a professional, but there's few people I meet that I would say have an understanding of that, concepts in cosmology and physics and things like that, like he does. And same with like phylogenetics and biology and things of that nature.
I made a forum after watching that video that you made an hour ago. Was it? Or a couple hours ago?
Was that movie? Or that was today. Okay, I didn't realize that was just happened.
The one that you were involved in, you didn't realize it just happened?
You got that much? You got that much compiled that quick? Wow.
No,
I do that all the time.
No, the Bread of Life thing.
Talking about the protoplanet.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I was looking at some of the sources that you had there, and I'm just like, holy shit, that was like you said, it was only a couple hours ago, and you already got all this compiled on it. Jesus.
Every day I do stuff like this.
Okay,
Oh,
what's
you-
going on with you, sir?
You're talking about our stream. I thought you
Oh,
were
I got
talking about
nothing
the Bread of
fun.
Life.
You're having fun. What are you having fun doing?
No, nothing fun. I refuse to have fun.
Oh, you refuse to have fun? This
He
time
had,
of
too,
year?
he had too much fun last night.
Yeah, that was a fun shit show. I enjoyed that.
That was pretty fun. Towards the end, that was just kind of interesting.
What happened? What happened? What happened after the? Okay, you went through gun control, and then you got into the.
I don't know what happened. I was too many beers into remember.
What did we talk about after the gun control? That was
Hey, Jefferson.
It slid.
Was
into
that
something else.
we started? Oh, we did talk about Bigfoot for a bit. That was that before or after the gun?
Bigfoot
control?
was the start of it all. Then it just
I think so.
toilet bowl.
And then it ended up in gun control, and then we ended up talking about I guess
Knock
yeah,
was
you would
yelling about
say.
something. I can't. Well, not
Yeah,
going to
well,
but
because towards the end, Serb was saying something about how there should be consumer unions, and I was laughing because I just thought that was an asinine idea.
that's what it was. About
And I
Tesla,
do kind of
not
think.
us.
I do kind of think Serb was trolling just a little. Like, I'm sure there was probably some seriousness in what he was saying, but I think there might have been a little bit of trolling in there. And Pixie said something, and she was talking about the comment that Rage had made, but I thought she made the comment to Serb, and so I was laughing even harder because I thought she was talking about what Serb said, and then Gurr highlighted the comment, and I was like, oh, I didn't see the comment before it got highlighted.
Yeah.
And Rage thought I was laughing at his comment, and I wasn't.
Oh, who
It's
the hell
almost like
is
a
this?
soap opera.
What is this bit? Assembly of God? What is he talking about here? Nobody likes obnoxious agnostics.
I don't know.
Assemblies are interesting folk.
He says people tend to stay away. He says people tend to stay away from people like Speed. People in general, nobody likes obnoxious agnostics. If you think Speed's an agnostic, you don't come around here often enough.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
come
that's
very
right.
You guys don't recognize who that is?
No. Who's
Oh,
that?
okay.
I've dealt with Assembly a lot.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was a Peter troll account because of the profile picture. It's not. It's somebody. I don't know.
Wait,
I guess they're
I
not
assumed it was
new
Peter. Is
around
that
here.
the
I don't
guy
know who it
that's
is.
been actually using the photo?
Well, no, Peter's the one that made that photo. This guy's been using it. I believe he said he asked Peter, and Peter said it was okay. So I do, if I'm remembering correctly, I do think he did say that he did ask Peter if he could use it.
Weird. Okay. Yeah. I'd forgotten about that there was a guy that actually took it and was running with it. But yeah, I don't understand why he would, but unless he just dislikes all those guys in the photo.
Who is Enlighten?
I don't know.
Enlighten. I came over here because there's a Clubhouse group going on, and they mentioned you guys being live.
Oh.
Who's all in that? Who's all in that Clubhouse group?
Enlighten, Matt Yester, Darth Dawkins, Jay Robin.
Oh, is this a precept person? Domino's Magic is another name, I guess.
But none of them has the balls to come in. Like always, bitch about the atheists live on their damn secular streams, but can't, bulk up the proverbial C.O. Jones, as
Dawkins
it were.
Darth Dawkins said that he would come on here, but you guys are just too terrible to deal with, even when he has mods.
Oh, okay. Enlighten left. So.
Oh,
well.
Man.
So he's
He
scared.
came on, but he's just
well.
too terrible. We were too terrible. to him.
We just have such bad arguments. I mean, never mind
Yeah.
the Twitter atheists.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible.
We were terrible to him. Horrible. Well, I didn't want to let him in because you remember last night, Gare had that porn bomb guy.
You had a porn bomber last night?
That was
Well,
Gare, right?
you're thinking of Wild Heart. Wild Heart wasn't a porn bomb. It was just weird.
No, there was another one. There was some guy that came in and he said something about, I don't know. He said something about porn bombing and Gare threw him out right away. Wasn't that Gare streams? Maybe I saw it.
Yeah, it was.
I was on
last
Ghost
night,
Stream
it was
on.
just for a
I saw
second.
no penis.
No, he didn't get a chance because he got tossed out as soon as he said something. He
Before I
said,
got on.
I'm here to gay porn bomb you or something, and Gare threw him out. I'm pretty sure did that not happen? Did I dream
Porn
that?
bomb's been showing up on a few different YouTube
I
channels.
saw it.
I don't remember seeing that last night, but I did want to say, I think Scott already mentioned this, the debate earlier today between Oh God, Sheffield. I can't think of his first name. Jonathan Sheffield and
Jonathan
C.J.
Sheffield.
Cox, and then Dr. Josh and Dr.
Bryson.
Yeah, Bryson. God, what's her
Maggie
first
Bryson.
name? What is it? Maggie,
Maggie.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. God, oh Lord, I don't know if
Yeah.
I've seen her before, but she's so fucking brilliant. Oh man. And what I loved is that there were times when CJ would like go to interrupt her. And look, I'm not gonna say that the guy was doing it purposefully or that it's like, oh, he's a misogynist, but he would go to like she would be in the middle of saying something, he would go to say something, and she just kept right on fucking
Yeah.
going. And
Yeah.
I was just like, yes. Fuck yes. I love seeing that shit.
Yeah, she's very specialized in that. Like, she's an Egyptologist,
Mhm.
but she specializes in just the basically just the timeline that is most relevant to
What channel was this made on?
studies.
Myth Vision podcast with Derek Lambert.
Oh, Myth Vision. Okay.
Yeah, she said she does Bronze Age into early Iron Age Egyptian history, I believe, something along those lines.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And
Hey,
what
guys,
I loved is that
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I
no,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
ask you a
Go
question.
ahead.
Yeah, I was just.
Oh, is the
yeah.
line going to show us his penis?
No.
Oh, I
I don't. No penis showing. No penis showing.
I think my picture's bigger than yours.
Nice. I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to come in and ask you a couple questions, if that's okay with you guys. Are you guys all atheists? I just want to clarify.
Is
I
this
am,
going
yes.
to be? Is this going to be one of
By
those?
definition.
By definition. Okay, that's good. That's good. So I'll ask you this.
I'm an
guys.
atheist.
Okay, good.
We're all atheists.
That's great. You guys are atheists. That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you guys, how did you determine that there is no God?
How do they?
Okay,
We're
well,
not all-
we just told you that we're atheists.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that, but do you reject
the
all God
question,
concepts?
which means that we don't believe in deities. Now, some of us here
So
may
you
hold
reject all God concepts?
Hang on.
No interrupting on this channel.
Let me address your question. So, if your question should probably start off with how many of you, of us, actually hold that position, and then go after those who hold that position. That's my suggestion to you.
Okay, I got you. So
How much
many
time
of
do
hold
you
that
have?
Position?
I do.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I
So
do.
I'll speak, I guess, directly to you. So would you say, what's your name? Sorry, I can't see who's speaking. My
Leo.
screen's small on the phone. Leo. Okay, gotcha. Nice to meet you, Leo. I'm enlightened.
How goes it?
So would you say that you reject all God concepts?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and especially the Christian God, I'm assuming?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily especially. I don't particularly single that one out. I would say largely that's the one I'm ending up having a discussion about. I think that just has to do with, largely the demographics of the country that I live in, but I don't particularly single out the Christian God in my rejection.
Leo
Before
tends to be impartial
before
about
we
this
go-
kind of stuff.
Okay.
Before we go too far down the road here, when you say God, do you mean something with agency and a mind? Is that the kind of God?
This is
you're
correct.
talking-
Yes, spaceless, timeless, immaterial, all-powerful being. Yep.
But has a mind, basically an agency.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, it would have to. Of course.
Okay. So yeah, I reject that out of the box.
Okay.
How does
that's good.
How does timeless anything exist?
Well, first of all, you would have to. Well, I want to finish my question, and I'll answer yours. Is that all right?
Sure, you go ahead. You go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I have no problem answering that. I'm not trying to run away from you guys or anything like that. But I just wanted to say to you this. So, where would you say that you determined that the Christian God, the Judeo-Christian God, is false?
By that, do you mean that the Christian God does not exist?
Yes.
I would say that that's largely due to the inconsistencies. I would actually argue incoherencies in the notion of a God, Christian or otherwise.
Okay, so what do you necessarily? Can you be a little bit more descriptive on that?
Yeah, you actually outlined the inconsistencies or incoherencies, as I prefer to call them, for me when you said that God is spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. The set of things which is spaceless, timeless, and immaterial, it cannot be distinguished from the set of things which do not exist, because both things which are spaceless, timeless, and immaterial, and things which don't exist, both of those categories are things which do not exist anywhere, do not exist
Where did you
for
determine
any
that?
amount of time, and are not made of anything.
Okay, so just because something is not made of something, does that mean that does not exist?
Well, I don't believe that was the only qualification I gave.
Well, no, that you're right, but I'm just you want to start with one at a time. So I'm just asking you this. It's
Well,
an honest question.
One
I'm
of them
saying-
at a time, no, does not mean that something doesn't exist. You would have to examine the fact that all three
Okay.
of those properties are
Okay,
lacked.
so does something have to be material to exist?
To exist, not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay. So
What
I
do you mean
wanted
by
to grab
material?
your attention on
What,
that.
what do you mean by
second-
material?
Immaterial?
No, what do you mean by material?
I think you know what I mean by material.
No, I don't. I don't know what you mean by material. Do you mean do you mean like physical, like matter, things with mass? Or are you
Yeah,
talking
physical, like you know,
says-
like in a sense, like a star. A star is necessarily what you would consider immaterial, or a
Well, how
cell,
about
or an
photons?
atom. Those
The
things are
periodic
what you
table.
consider immaterial.
How about
So
photons?
those type of things is what I necessarily
Photons.
mean by immateriality. Okay,
How is
so
a star immaterial? It's made
so
of
first
atoms.
of all, I want to ask you, to the person that responded to my question on something that God cannot exist because spaceless and timeless doesn't exist. I want to ask you, how did you necessarily come to that conclusion, and where did you determine that?
Just by an internal examination of what those concepts entail. Something being spaceless means literally that it exists nowhere, because where implies space. If it doesn't exist
How
in
did you
time,
determine
that
that?
entails that it exists no when, because when implies a time. So if the thing does not exist in space, then it doesn't exist at a where. It doesn't have locality.
Well,
And
where
if it
did you
doesn't
determine that?
exist in time? Well, from an internal conceptual examination of what it means to be spaceless and timeless.
And what does it mean?
To be spaceless means you are not extended through the dimensions of space.
Correct, but something, just because it's not extended to the direction of space does not mean it doesn't exist. You just
I
even
agree.
admitted that.
Yes, I did,
Okay.
and I also outlined that that isn't the only qualification that I'm giving.
So at
So
that
I
same,
have no
I
problem
understand
agreeing
that.
with
I
you.
respect your position. I respect what you were giving, but at the same time, when you're saying that, you're kind of contradicting yourself there, because first you say, oh no, because it's spaceless, timeless, therefore it cannot exist. And then I sit there and say, well, just because something's spaceless, does that mean, spaceless, timeless? And you say, obviously, that can't exist, and it's
I
not
actually
immaterial.
didn't
Does that
claim
mean that
it
it doesn't
can't
exist?
What I
And you
claimed
said
is that
no.
that,
So
that
which one is
it
it yes or
lies
no?
in the set of things that are indistinguishable from non-existence. That's particular claim that I made.
So we're
Okay,
talking
okay.
about concepts.
No,
Those are
well, I'm not. Well, I mean, I guess I am. I would consider gods as nothing more than an abstraction, just an abstract concept.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
abstract.
right. I mean, of course, that's what you would think. But I'm asking you, how did you determine that to be the case, to be true?
Through just a conceptual examination of how God is defined and what that entails. And what I have found is that if we take what God is defined as, spaceless, timeless, and immaterial, he becomes fundamentally indistinguishable from the same concept, but it doesn't actually exist. Since we can't distinguish between the two,
Didn't you
there's
just
no
say
reason for
something
me to
just
presume
because
it
something
doesn't
is?
exist.
Well, didn't you just say that because something is not spaceless or something that is timeless, therefore it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist? You just sat there and admitted it. Now you're saying it doesn't.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.
Is the imagination?
Yeah, apparently he didn't understand my argument. So I said that if something is spaceless and timeless and immaterial, makes it indistinguishable from non-existence. I didn't say if it's just spaceless that makes it to say so. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I had reiterated that at least 2 or 3 times.
You did.
That I wasn't singling out any one of those qualifications. You have
You
to
did. I
consider all
would
of
say
them.
what I was listening to, it did sound like you're focusing and honing in on the spaceless one, but I didn't think you were excluding the others.
Yeah.
No. So Leo, how could something spaceless, timeless, and what is the other requirement? Spaceless, timeless,
Immaterial.
or non-physical is a better way of putting it.
non-physical. I never understood non-physical or immaterial.
No, immaterial, depending on what the person means by material, maybe, but non-physical.
Right.
Okay, abstract concepts are non-physical, but I'm a nominalist. I don't think abstract concepts have any real ontology. They exist insofar as humans exist and can engage in cognitive mental processes. So, I mean, sure, they're non-physical, but they don't really exist. I don't know what it means to say that something exists, at least in a concrete sense, and it's non-physical.
Leo,
Right.
sorry, I'm going to dip out. I'm going to go back into that clubhouse room and find that guy because I'm sure he's bitching about you right now. So I'm going to go investigate.
Give it to him. He was respectful. I'll give it to him. I mean,
Yeah, Untitled
Did you feel the
Disrespectful.
sound of his nose just getting out of joint suddenly?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Jefferson,
Yeah.
when you're there,
That was
if you
pretty
get the
quick.
chance, please say hello to Darth Dawkins for me, and tell him I'm looking forward to our next debate. That I'm going to use his own argument against him.
Okay,
Hey, Jefferson, could you give him a message from Answers in Atheism?
sure. What's that?
Tell them to go fuck themselves.
Tell him to quit sending his minions everywhere and actually grow a pair of balls and actually try to engage with people. Of course, he
Well,
will.
Darth made it clear that he wasn't coming over, so I think that's why Enlightened. was
Yeah,
gonna
he's
show up.
he's because Darth is a little bitch.
All right, guys. I'll check back in with you later if you're still going
All
to
right,
be on.
Jeff. Thanks
Yeah.
for the scouting mission.
Sure
You know
thing.
what
See ya.
What kills me about those guys, they come in and they will try to dominate a room like that, like it's their fucking channel. You know, and if they can't, then they leave. I mean, they've got to be fucking on top, and it's like,
Or the minute they're put on the defense, they leave.
yeah,
You notice
Yeah,
how
or-
you notice how I didn't
they're
let
learning
him
something.
fully control the you notice how I didn't let him fully control the narrative at the beginning there.
Hmm
We got to do stuff like that with these guys all the time.
yeah. Yep.
When they try to, or actually learning something in their mind, they have to escape from that concept or mindset. That's what the problem is. It's like a
Yeah, why
cognitive
couldn't,
dissonance.
why couldn't he talk about his favorite football team or whatever or something, you know, or tell us why he's a Christian? It's
After-
like they have to stay pure by not treating us like human beings.
I wanted
Yep.
to hear the full. I wanted to hear Leo and that guy go do a full interaction, and then afterwards, I wanted to follow up with my own perspective on this, with the paradox between omniscience and omnipotence, and find out what his response to that would be. I thought Leo was doing great with the guy. Actually,
Well, and we didn't even scrape, like we barely scraped into that conceptual argument that I would give, that the notion of something existing but existing nowhere, having no locality, no temporality, and no physicality, then I don't even know what it means to say that it exists. We
Yeah,
didn't even
that is-
dig deep into that at all. And the other thing I wanted to say quickly is that this whole, well, how did you come to know that God doesn't exist? It's like, well, number one, I believe that God doesn't exist. I never claimed
It's a
to
loaded
know
question.
that. So, and number two, that while I would say that I personally, I can provide what I would argue are defenses of the proposition that God does not exist, you're never going to be able to just take one of them and that alone is going to do it. At least I don't think so. It's largely a cumulative case. So this, well, what did you use to determine that was true? It's like, well, how much time do you have? I mean,
I thought your response to his accusation that you were honing in on Christianity was very good. The word "I'm being impartial" would have been a helpful start on it, but in a roundabout way, that's what you said.
So does an imagination of something exist?
I would say no, because I would say imagination is an abstract thing. And again, as a nominalist, I would say abstractions don't
Yeah.
really exist.
Your kinetic
Outside-
forces.
Then
Outside
about
of how it's
processes?
outside of how it's represented in a actual biological brain, no, it doesn't
Yeah,
exist outside. of
Exactly. Yep. That's a good way to put it.
Hello, Doctor.
Outside of its mental representations in the
Hey,
physical.
Jason, did you just
substrates
hear that
cause that?
thing when Leighton came in?
What was that?
Did you catch all that just before you came in here? That our guest who was on.
I did not see anybody that was on.
Oh, you missed all that. Okay.
It would have
it
been
was-
nice for you to be in here. I would have loved to see you try to engage with this guy.
Who was the
I
person?
think you would have enjoyed it. The guy was quite
You
cordial.
wouldn't have stayed.
He was a
wasn't-
Darth acolyte, but I mean, he was respectful. I'll give it to him. He was quite respectful, but he was a Darth
I'll
acolyte.
agree with that, but he wasn't going to stay. I mean, he wanted to do the quick victory, or that was all he wanted. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Albino Sparkle, how are you?
How's it going, Al?
Hey,
Hell,
Or is it
Hey.
Albino?
well, no, hey, hey, Leo, or guy who I don't know, but how's it going?
Hola.
Guy who laughs at comments that he didn't even
Well,
know
I've seen a lot of-
existed until it got highlighted.
Yes.
That was
Hello,
funny.
Midnight.
Hey.
How have you been?
I've been up and down, I guess.
You live on the second floor?
Oddly enough, yes.
Okay. That's That explains it.
I love that, Scott. Yeah, I've been up and down. Third floor apartment, huh?
No, he said second.
I know.
I don't know. I honestly can't wait to get a downstairs apartment, but I'm on a waiting list.
Yeah, but then you'll be down all the time.
I know.
Oh, you said you're on a waiting list for
Whatever
a
you do,
ground
don't get a
floor?
basement apartment.
Yes, I'm on a waiting list for a ground floor.
Okay.
Well, you seem to be on the ground floor row right now, so you're off to a good start.
Yep.
Jason and Al are beautiful foundations.
Well, okay, no. Okay, right. Okay, Randolph. I
And Jeff.
still think. Hold on. I still think you're an albino. Okay, you better get that checked.
Okay, we need a Jefferson report. He went over and checked.
Oh, Jefferson's here.
The Jefferson
Yep.
report.
Yep, status report. So this is mostly for Leo's benefit. So it was a little bit worse than it kind of worked out exactly the way I thought. So he ran back into the same clubhouse room and he reported back to Darth Dawkins, where on the dial you touched him badly. And then
God damn it!
What does he think
hell
Leo
is
is? Catholic?
God, he's
What does he think Leo is? Catholic clergy?
they reached the conclusion that what Leo was saying, that if something is that if something is spaceless, then it can't exist.
Okay.
Which is not what I said.
But you didn't say that. I raised my hand because I was like, actually, that wasn't Leo's point. What he was saying was that these things are indistinguishable from other things that don't exist. Everything in the set of things that doesn't exist. But I don't think he was going to get there. They didn't let me in. But when he said, well, Darth asked him, how did you define God? And he said, well, I started with the basics, that he's spaceless, timeless, immaterial, a mind, blah, blah, blah. And Darth pushed back on the timeless thing. Which was, he's like,
well,
no, don't.
So would William Lane Craig, just to throw that out there. He would say that God is timeless, sans creation, but temporal from creation onward.
Right. And so Darth was like, no, I would put, if you, he's like, we'll have to talk about this sometime privately, but you want to be careful because if you run into an opponent who's a little bit more philosophically sophisticated, they can kind of beat you up. You can get wrapped up in the whole timeless debate. But then, like, not even 5 minutes.
Well, that's what
later,
Randolph.
right,
I mean, he was like, "What does timeless existence mean?" What?
Right, exactly. But then right before I left, he went back to saying, yeah, he's like, well, what the real problem here is that they don't want to talk about the God that's the ultimate foundation for all God concepts. It's ultimate and eternal. And I'm like, okay, so it is timeless? Like, you just told him not to run with the timelessness thing, but eternal means timeless.
This ultimate foundation, I love hearing that because what does that mean? What is an ultimate foundation?
For him, it just means like everything depends on that, and that's it. It's just a definition. It's a claim.
Well, I mean, Leo, an ultimate foundation is like a regular foundation, but ultimate.
So is that like Jason, Al, and Jeff here? Are they our ultimate foundation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way I take that sentence is it's a phrase that Darth created that makes Darth be true regardless of the conversation. Like if you admit what Darth said, then Darth wins, and he will only play the game if he just wins.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, it's not. You can't really credit Darth with the whole ultimate foundation thing.
Well, no, but he's the one I think of when I hear that phrase.
Yeah,
that's a very
Then I hit my face on the table in front of me because I'm thinking about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Very sophistic phrase to use, the ultimate. Because I'm going to be honest, there are several charitable ways I could interpret that. The whole point, and I'm going to be honest, some people think it's kind of a douchey move. I really don't think that it is. There will be times where I can probably, I would say, charitably understand what a person means by what they say, but I'll still say, wait, what do you mean by that? Because I want them to explain it. I want to gauge how well they understand their own ideas, because whether or not I understand them, if they don't, it's not worth engaging, because certainly if I don't understand them, well, if they don't, they're not going to be able to teach me anything, are they? Why would I want to engage with that person? So there are times where I'll be like, wait, what does this mean? Or what do you mean by that? Or wait, you said this. Can you hash that out for me? I don't think I understand that. Just to gauge whether this person understands this well enough to be able to really, elucidate their own ideas. Because if not, then it's a waste of my time.
Yep. Yeah, and you can just end up talking in circles that way, and then find out 45 minutes, an hour into a discussion, like, you don't
know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep,
exactly. Faith palm. Oh wow. So is that just like a religious joke there, Randolph, or is it is it Mike Tyson, getting frustrated?
I just you can see it's the Pope. It's just making fun.
Yeah.
Just had to put that up with something that was being said about the community there on Clubhouse.
So it seems that they've all moved to Clubhouse now, huh?
Yeah.
The fuck is Clubhouse?
I think it's like Discord, but obviously there's some differences between it. But as I understand it, it's like a platform similar to like a Discord or something like that, where you
damn websites these days.
So on Discord and on Twitter, Darth Dawkins, a number of his supporters keep contacting me because they're trying to get a debate going between he and I. And it's just a few who do this. And just the other day, one of them was telling me that he's been having trouble on Clubhouse, so it looks like he's coming back to Discord.
Wait, what kind of trouble on Clubhouse?
Can you say who that person was, Randolph, or would you rather not?
Well, it's a private chat, so I won't. Because I always keep those private.
Understood.
But it's somebody who seems to be kind of on the fence. They try not to get too much on Darth's radar because there's some harassment issues going on too. So it's a funny situation for that particular one.
Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
I'll ask them if I can. I know their answer is going to be no, but
so Jason, how you doing? How many years do your climate models tell us we have?
But I can tell you it's
over.
not. But I'll tell you it's not somebody that I see in these communities at all ever. So
okay. No, I wasn't trying to pry. I just thought if it was like in a private live or a public live chat somewhere on a YouTube.
No, it wasn't a public chat. No, it's private. It's no. I haven't seen this name anywhere in any of these public conversations that we have. So I don't imagine it'd be anything anybody would recognize anyway.
Gotcha.
I have a strict policy. I always keep all the private chats private.
I wonder where Unchanging is tonight.
Unchanging?
Oh, Danny already left.
No, I meant Immutable. Unchanging, Immutable. Come on.
Mutable. He's mutable.
Oh, that changed.
Wait, did you say he's banned?
He's mutable. Yeah,
No,
I banned him.
he's-
I just banned him now
Right.
Why?
I don't know.
because you mentioned him. So anyway,
I feel like if you had like the word immutable in your name and you changed that to unchangeable, I think you violated a trust there.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But dude, honestly, I don't know. I think his name suits him. Okay, it suits him because he's unchanging. He never changes.
yeah, that's true.
Who's eating?
Everybody.
Who's eating?
Oh, Wild Heart. Oh wait, he's not in here.
I already know who it is because I know it's Chips. I know who it is.
Oh, who?
I'll give you a hint. It's right there. That's who it is.
Oh, it's the Scott boy. Huh?
I almost
God.
guarantee you, this motherfucker sitting there eating chips like, oh nope. It's
Pretty
not
sure I
me.
saw Jason.
Scotty boy.
I
You eating
muted him.
chips?
I muted Scott.
Of course. So Jeff, how
Yeah,
you been?
fuck Scott. Yeah, that's
As long as they're not Frito-Lay brand, everything's good.
Yeah, great. I have been out of commission for a week. I've been down with the flu. A bad
Jesus.
So what about your
Oh
brother? Is he out of
shit.
commission?
It was not COVID. When I came down with it on Saturday morning, by the time Saturday night hit, I was getting a pretty bad feeling. I was still able to drive. So Sunday morning, I went through a kind of a nearby hospital drive-through site. First thing in the morning, 5 o'clock. Got swabbed, got my results late Sunday night. COVID negative. It's just a strain of influenza going on, but it went bacterial. So I'm on antibiotics right now.
Did you guys hear what Kellogg's is doing? Because nobody's buying their products, they're like removing the Kellogg's name from some of them. Like Pop-Tarts is just going to say Pop-Tarts. There won't be the Kellogg's word won't appear on it anymore.
Is
Well,
that
that's-
because of that weird shit that Kellogg did back in the 50s or whatever?
No, it's because of their rampant abusive behavior towards their employees.
No,
Oh,
that's a
really?
wonderful place. Don't listen to them.
Some of their employees get paid very well, I heard. Not all of them, though.
The scabs get paid fantastically. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't believe that that Speed actually pinned something to the chat.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck
go
speed.
yourself.
Douche.
It's a good idea, but you know,
No, it's not. No,
I really don't like that because it's kind of funky. I don't like the way they pin that.
it really isn't that attractive. That's for sure.
No, it is
It's not.
attractive.
It's kind of screwy. I don't like it.
You like it, Orge?
I find it attractive. Yes, I find things
I
attractive.
find it very
Okay,
attractive.
all right.
Well,
Now,
okay.
Orge,
I'm halfway through my beer.
You find Danny attractive, and that's
Because he
worrying.
is.
Yeah,
The
that's the
hottest ass
problem.
right there.
I do like Danny's head of hair. He needs to style it better, though.
Also,
You need to
Orge,
shut
I
up,
didn't
Scott.
know. Also, I didn't know you swung that way. I didn't know you were bi.
I can
really
admire
used to see my
hair.
gender.
That's not a sexual thing. You can admire somebody's hair.
I really like Danny, except for his head of hair and his face and his voice and his body and his ideas and the things he says.
So you
and
don't
his
like Danny at all?
But other than that, I really like Danny.
Hey, Leo, go ahead and ask your question to Jason that you tried to ask earlier, because I'm interested, and Orge might have some things to say about it too. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
What? What are we talking about?
You first asked him what his models say.
Jason,
about
yeah.
him.
How are you doing, man? Your climate models. How many years do they tell us we have left before everything is fucked?
Yeah.
10 years.
Like -3 years.
A range of years.
Yeah, but it's a range
mean,
of
what-
years. But do any of those ranges dip into the negatives, Jason?
And whenever
Yeah,
things do a chain reaction.
I guess it depends on what the term "fucked" what that what that actually
If we
means.
just
Because
stop
technically, we
big and
are already
sloppy.
fucked in many ways.
Wait, who
Make it
left?
sloppier.
Oh, Randolph.
See, and if
What
we
happened
even
to
stop
Randolph?
carbon completely right now, it would
Where'd
not
Randolph go?
be able to heal itself.
Well, yeah, but there would already be some pretty drastic changes that would occur.
Okay, who the hell is that?
I mean,
Wait.
look at the Midwest this past like week and a half. It was 70 motherfucking degrees on Wednesday or Tuesday.
but
no,
Leo,
Wednesday.
God
Or was
did
that
that.
Tuesday? No, that was Wednesday.
Like, what the fuck are you
70
watching?
fucking degrees.
Oh, this is great stuff.
Oh God, dude, start this over. Let's watch it. Their videos are so fucking funny. It's oh my God, they're so bad. It's funny.
Oh, let's
History
see what we got.
Adventures with Nia.
PragerU is literal comedy.
That was a wild ride. Yeah, it's fun, huh?
Leo, Layla, is that you? What are you doing here?
Hey, Uncle Will. We brought our friend Naya to meet you.
She lives in Central Africa, and her village doesn't have electricity.
Hello, sir. I hear you are an energy expert. I would like to gather information from you and take new knowledge back to my family and community.
I think I can help. I'm an environmental scientist, and I've written lots of books about different energy sources.
We need
Is it
to know
just me,
what energy
or
source
are the
is the
voices
best,
just
so
really
that
bad?
Naya's life can be better.
Yeah.
Start by sorting.
What?
I said, is it just me, or are the voices just really bad?
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
you-
The professor,
you mean-
the professor sounds like a hillbilly. Just putting
You
it out
mean
there.
yeah, the way they choose to portray these characters, yeah, it's really over the top.
This is going to get worse because
I've heard-
PragerU is just so
It
bad.
gets a lot worse. Okay, this is for children, and at the bottom they say PragerU is experiencing severe censorship. I wonder why.
Wow.
Oh shit!
Different ways to produce energy into two groups: reliable energy and unreliable energy.
One group already sounds bad. You've got to be able to count on things when they're needed. I don't like anything that's unreliable.
Reliable energy comes from coal, natural gas, and nuclear power plants. Each of these takes a natural resource from the earth and can create energy for people to use around the clock, year round.
I'm getting pissed
That's
now.
why
I'm
we
on
say
it.
they're reliable, because they can always be counted on.
I'm
It's also
pissed.
nice that they're not too expensive.
So which
Nuclear.
energy sources are known as unreliable?
Can we get a pause?
It could be solar power from
I was going to say nuclear energy is not as reliable as they'd like to argue. And the thing that I learned about some of the older ones we got in the U.S. is they require an enormous amount of oil and diesel to run.
Really?
backup
Well, the
generators in case there's
generators
power.
do, but you don't have to have generators that run on diesel, and some don't even actually have to have generators. Nuclear is pretty reliable. It's just that we haven't ever really invested in it. Like, if you talk to somebody who like works in the energy industry, they'll tell you nuclear is like, oh yeah, it's this ideal thing, but it's not going to work. But if you talk to like a nuclear physicist, they'll tell you, oh yeah, we just need to actually, fucking update our technology and we would be fine.
Yeah, and also like, who made the determination that reliable was the singular gauge we were going to use to determine whether we were going to like go full bore fossil fuels or not? I mean, and I don't even. I mean, there's a bunch of parameters to go into the worthwhileness. Reliableness is just one.
Yeah, I mean, if using a resource ultimately like kills off our species, is it really reliable? Is that really what a reliable resource is? Like, seriously? This is insane. Of course, this is what you get when you're funded by coal billionaires and the Koch brothers.
Yeah. Okay,
and you're Dennis Prager.
This gets better. Anyway, Gur wants you to know that it's called Dannykins, Leo. Dannykins.
I don't know what that means.
Don't let Gur in here. No one likes him.
Gur Icarus. Not
I'm not stopping unless you use code words. So anyway, okay.
From the sun and energy produced from windmills. They are unreliable because they only can make energy when nature cooperates.
There's no sun at night, and not every
hold on.
day is sunny.
Why
Yeah,
are they
Isn't that the same for coal?
Most mornings are foggy and misty.
Does your village get a lot of wind?
Not really. Sometimes we have very nice
There's no wind in Africa.
Well, wait, hold on. I like to point out that they're standing in a field of windmills. So what the fuck?
Yeah, but wait a minute. This something real cool happens here.
pleasant breeze, but it is very rarely windy.
But Uncle Will,
Rarely
wind and
windy.
solar are renewable forms of energy. Even if they're limited, we're not going to run out of them, and they don't harm the environment.
Not so fast, Missy. It's true sun rays and wind don't harm the environment. The solar panels, windmills, and the batteries needed for these types of energy are all made from materials that have to be mined from the earth. Kind
of like coal. Kind of like fucking
and
coal
this is
as
the thing,
well.
like, if you're going to talk about, well, all the resources for solar and wind have to be mined, just like coal does, and it's like, okay, so then why do we continue to use coal?
Okay,
like they're defeating their own fucking argument here. Because
Not only that, but it's like you didn't harvest these raw materials and make a solar thing so that you could then set it on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
And burn it, yeah.
And then go get some more.
And it burns for 3 hours,
Right,
but
yeah,
took 200
exactly.
million years to form.
Okay, I'd like to fact check this next point he makes here because I don't know much about it.
be recycled and become hazardous waste.
No one ever likes to talk.
He says that solar panels and windmills can't be recycled.
Well, it is true that a lot of the blades from windmills are just buried in the ground, but a lot of the blades are like stainless steel and aluminum and things that aren't really going to pose much of a hazard.
Wait.
Why they're not recycled, I don't know, but that's largely because world governments don't really put nearly as strong as of an emphasis on recycling as they should.
People bury those big metal blades in the ground?
Yes.
Why?
That's a good question. Probably because it is the cheapest for the capitalist companies that run these windmills to get rid of them.
I love how you said capitalist companies, not just
Here we
companies.
go. Here we go.
Are you going to tell me these companies aren't capitalist? Because
No,
but why did you add?
So then I didn't say anything in factual. Why are we taking issue
Damn
with it?
capitalists.
Commie.
Just say company. You don't need to add the capitalist next to
I
it.
actually do need to qualify it because part of the reason they're doing what they're doing is because they're capitalists and they're more concerned with maximizing their profit than the long-term sustainability
We are
of the
not,
fucking
we are not
planet that
having
we
a
inhabit.
discussion about communism right now.
Well, who's
but I
mentioned
want to-
communism except you?
Yeah.
I know you're a
Get him,
commie,
Leo.
Leo, so
I'm
anyway.
not a communist.
Get him,
I know.
comrade.
Okay,
No,
so
you're
I
such
want
a
to
Democrat.
get to the part where the pretty bird comes flying. But
I'm not a Democrat
that.
either.
I just hear that
social.
solar and wind are the way to save the planet.
Unfortunately, many of the people who talk about how great they are for the environment give misleading information, leave out very important
you?
facts.
Like what?
For starters, even when the sun shines bright and windmills spin fast, wind and solar just aren't powerful enough to power the modern world. The
False.
energy from them just isn't dense and robust enough. Places that have
Hey,
I'm
don't
invested
sorry.
talk
I
billions
can't
of
get
dollars
over his
in
voice. I
wind
can't get over his voice. I just
You
can't
see
get
how
over
s-
his voice.
Okay, Did you notice how slow that windmill is going?
Yes.
People still have to use reliable sources for most of their power.
Sounds like a
False.
giant waste.
Maybe those places want to be green, Leo. Maybe they want to set a good example.
Okay, watch. Look at that. Look at that.
What was that? Was that a bird?
Oh, here we go.
Did that bird just get killed by a windmill?
Yes, it did. But many people, Layla,
Can you pause it just a
misled
sec?
about renewable energy.
Since they
Okay,
hit
if you
that
want me to
trope.
pause, say Danny Kins, okay?
Okay, fine. Danny
Will do.
Kins. There you
Will
go.
do. Since we've got bird strike in the windmill, I want to ask of the 4 people here on the screen, which one of them develops cancer from the sound that the windmills make?
I
all I
want to
can
say, but I don't want to sound racist.
Okay,
I live in the middle of a wind
no.
farm.
Okay, it's a true story now. My brother-in-law was from Des Moines, and he died of cancer, and they have a lot of windmills around Iowa. So I'm pretty sure that windmills cause cancer.
Those aren't windmills. Those are giant fans that we use to dry down the corn.
Oh,
That's why it's
okay,
the windy.
dry the corn.
Anyway,
My grandmother has lived in the state of Michigan her entire life, and she has had colon cancer twice. And it is well known that Michigan has lots of cloud cover. Think about it. So clouds
I'm telling
cause
you.
cancer.
I mean, you guys know the correlation always means causation, right?
It does.
I mean, everybody knows that.
I've told you this before, Leo. I don't know why you refuse to acknowledge it.
You guys don't get it.
On a more serious note, I literally live pretty much in the middle of a wind farm. Like there's 3 wind farms around my town. I have never seen or heard of birds dying in wind. That is not a thing that fucking happens. Like birds are just not that dumb.
Yeah, natural selection. They all died. The ones that
We talk about how birds run into windmills, but apparently all these buildings and these skyscrapers and everything are just fine. But the windmills, oh god, they're just dropping like fucking flies. But
No, Leo.
skyscrapers,
the reason,
no big deal.
Well, no, Leo. The reason why they're probably flying into windmills is because they'll be like, ooh, pretty. You know what I mean? They're being hypnotized by the whoosh sound. Like I must get closer, and died.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the big fan go.
You've got a lot of windmills along 35W going from Minneapolis to Iowa. I mean, there's just some, and they're really. I love that. I love looking at them because the rest of Iowa is so fucking boring.
No,
But
it's
the
not. Have
windmills
you ever
are-
driven
oh my God,
through
that's
Nebraska?
Huh?
Have you ever
yeah.
driven through Nebraska? Then what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
wow.
Nebraska is literally
You're
the
Nebraska.
birthplace of boring.
North Dakota and South Dakota too. It's all cornfields. North Dakota is anyway.
It's just flat and oh god, it's so
we ought to
fucking
just
bad.
we just ought to get rid of those states.
Yeah, can we throw the United Kingdom, or I should say the United Turfdom, in there too, because it's really bad.
So have we been calling them windmills?
Are we going to play
We've been
video?
calling them windmills.
I don't
They
know.
should've
They're
been
not windmills. They're
wind
wind turbines.
turbines.
Yeah, they don't mill
Yeah.
anything.
Well, are they calling them windmills in this thing? They are.
I don't know.
I think they are. I think that's
Wouldn't
what I
surprise me. They've gotten everything else wrong.
Okay. Let's play a little more. Just a little more.
Energy and their impact on the environment.
I never thought about windmills killing birds.
Windmills kill so many birds. It's hard to track how many. But that's just the start of how negative wind and solar are for our natural environment. Look around. These look natural to you.
The sun and the wind, just so unnatural, guys.
Okay. So he's talking about how much natural habitat.
God, the
wind
animation
farms-
is horrible.
Okay. Wind farms interrupt all this natural habitat, right? What about strip mining for coal?
What about
Exactly.
fracking?
Have you ever
What
seen
about
that?
offshore
shit?
drilling?
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bad.
What the fuck is this channel? Oh, he's back. Enlighten's back. Oh my god.
Oh my god,
Have fun,
who is
Jason.
this? Oh my god, somebody kill me. Or not.
Hey,
never mind, I
Enlighten.
guess.
Wait a minute.
He
He's
decided
gone
to leave.
again.
He's gone again. He lost
saw
his
that
memory.
he saw that we were all still here, and he was like, "Oh no!"
Oh, wait a minute. He just came over with a bomb or something, but then he forgot that this is the internet and we don't give a fuck.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't. Actually, no, I shouldn't say it. I don't want to give him ideas.
I just wanted to say really quickly to Icarus, did you
Randolph.
EU people get rid of the UK, or did the UK, kind of get rid of you guys? Like, who actually had the vote? That's the question. Fucking Brit bongers, man.
Wow.
So, what kind of wind turbine should be better for the environment?
Depends.
Yes, all of them.
The blade ones aren't the most.
I know, but I'm
efficient
getting
design.
nauseous.
I just think that nuclear and solar and hydroelectric and maybe a little bit of wind would just be enough.
Because if the brakes go bad on the normal ones that we know of, they're too windy and they just go out everywhere.
So you're a big nuclear fan, Leo.
I am. I'm a nuclear fan.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about nuclear's bad, and
I
it's
like
like,
the nuclear.
well,
I think it's
no.
most efficient.
I mean, it is. Everybody's like, oh, but it's. I love when people say, but nuclear's so unstable, because it's like, actually, no. Nuclear
what? That's
energy is
actually
one of the most stable forms of energy production, literally
long as
in
safety
the universe.
procedures are followed
You know what, Andrew? That's actually a good point. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good point. They are giant flowers.
And you know what's funny? A lot of people seem to think that the steam coming out the top of the nuclear plants is spreading nuclear waste around the planet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's steam. It's just like, holy fuck. Well, in fact, I've seen
chemtrails, guys.
I've seen documentaries that have said as much. Look at the pollution coming out of this nuclear plant, and they show the steam coming up. It's pretty cool.
Well, isn't humidity a kind of pollution?
Well, technically, yes. Water vapor is like one of the most powerful greenhouse gases. It's just that actually, Jason would have to correct me, but I don't know.
It dissipates.
Yeah. Is there more water vapor than carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
That's what I thought.
And the thing is, it dissipates. Its half-life is very short, so we have a constant cycle of it going through our system. We're not like, so it's a negligible impact. The problem is when those certain chemical compounds hang around. It takes longer for them to leave. Their half-life of sticking around in the atmosphere is longer, particularly things like CO2 or methane or CH4. That those are in that window where they absorb that long wave radiation, which is the radiation that there's the sun comes in, it gets absorbed by some shit, then it reflects it back up as long wave radiation. That's that window where those things like like CO2, etc.
What about mitigation theories about like just hoovering the CO2 out of the environment? Out of the
there's lots of lot of people.
There's enough housewives in the U.S., don't you think, that own a good Hoover or Dyson? Just oh shit! That's
yeah, man. Some guys do chores too,
That is very true. I'm one of them.
Me too. I mentioned this beginning of the stream.
Yep, I clean the downstairs once a week.
I vacuumed for the first time in 7 months. My kitties are still mad at me for vacuuming. Poor kitties.
Spider webs have dust.
Yeah. Yep. It was fun to vacuum, though. The room really feels a lot better when I vacuum. It's just that it upsets my kitties.
Spiderwebs
guys,
are deadly.
Andrew wants to quiz the panel.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
So here we go. Who wants to read it?
It's getting hot. It's changing fast. Smoking stuff. Oh, I'm going to go with smoking stuff.
Why is the current climate change so bad for the biosphere? Because it's getting hotter, because it's changing too quickly, or because of like smoke? I would probably have to assume that it's some mixture of the three. That the increases or even potentially decreases in temperature in certain areas will obviously have effects on the biosphere. The changes and the rate at which they're happening is going to have effects on the biosphere, and all of the chemicals that are dumped into the atmosphere as a result of all of the extra and longer lasting wildfires are also going to have an effect on the biosphere.
I like it. Oh, that's great.
It's so simple.
I want to say B because things changing too fast is bad for the biosphere and the smoke and human contributions to climate change are also changing the habitats and stuff. So I don't know. I tend to go with B if I have to choose one.
Hey, Jason, we had a tornado on the 15th in Minnesota, and the previous latest tornado or most wintry tornado was in November in 1931. And we had a tornado here, and it went up to almost 60 degrees. 15 inches of snow melted in one day, and then it dropped back down to normal December temperatures overnight, just that quick. And it's like, what the fuck? It was wonderful because it was like I was outside with a t-shirt on. But damn, is that what's going on? I mean, is that the kind of stuff we're going to see? Like,
and it's going to get worse. I don't want to see more derechos. I don't want more 130 mile an hour winds ripping down like a third of the corn grown in the no.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be good.
So, Jason, do you know anything about that? Is that what we're looking at?
I think what we're going to be experiencing is complex interactions between differing systems that are going to result in sometimes unexpected outcomes that are hard to predict what could occur.
Yeah. And sometimes, oh my, aren't you the optimist?
I mean, like what was, I forget who put that up there. Andrew put something up there about heat and about speed, and then there was another one that was like smoke and stuff. Yeah, and I would remind you that the whole aspect, if we break down, what is this? Goodbye Earth. Okay,
it's a book cover. It's a mock book cover. It says "Goodbye Earth" by Donald Trump.
I gotcha. That if we break down like all this entire problem, this climate change problem, it has to do with changing our systems, our planetary systems, our energy systems, changing how much energy is either coming in or leaving the system, and doing that over. It can't happen if we did it rapidly, but we are doing it rapidly. But usually it's these changing these feedback loops, these loops that are occurring over periods of time. So when it's like doing it fast, essentially doing it in a period that is a different period that is normal for that system. So you got a system's chugging along, doing its thing, and you're like, okay, I throw something into the system, and now every year I increase it 0.5 degree, or I do something where I change it just slightly. Over time, the system is like, wait a second, you're slowly throwing me out of kilter. And that's what's going on. Yeah.
It's like I would say a good analogy would be like an economy. It's not a thing that you can just drastically overhaul overnight, or the whole thing will come just burning to the ground. If you're going to change it, the changes have to be very, very small and very slight so the system can adjust. If you were going to change a climate or an entire like ecosystem on a planet, I would imagine that those changes would have to be very slow and very slight over a long period of time so that the ecosystems can adjust. But I would also presume there would probably be stochastic processes occurring that you might not be capable of accounting for, because that's just the way that the nature. She is a fickle bitch.
Oh my God! I mean, think about the complex nature of ocean temperatures, ecosystem development, fisheries, like terrestrial systems, like all of that. Think of like if we slowly change the amount of energy in the system, we increase the amount of heat, we amp things up so systems are increased. We shift shit around a little bit. So now a place that used to be where there was like it flourished somewhat, it gets droughts all the time now. Like that the planet itself is like, cool, we will adjust, no problem. But the question is, will the actual animals and humans and etc. will we survive? And will we? And what will the planet look like? So there's no doubt
the economy.
Yeah, exactly, or the economy or whatever. I mean, we're gonna have to adjust. I was on a Clubhouse, talking of Clubhouse. I was on a Clubhouse call where they were talking about climate change, and they were talking about sea level rise. Sea level rise, sea level rise, sea level rise, sea level rise. And I was like, okay, great. I understand the issue of sea level rise is an important aspect, and it tends to be on the forefront because it's about like increasing like the amount of heat. It melts the ice. There's more water in the ocean. The ocean's water lifts up, and now shit gets flooded. It's not just the
ice; it's the ice on land.
I understand. I'm saying I understand it's not the ice that's already occupying the water, but I'm saying that. But my point is that it's this kind of age-old story that we would tell to get people like upset about climate change. But the reality is that we need to tell a much more sophisticated story. And I was trying to explain to them, like, I understand this topic of like sea level rise is like a nice like thing to rattle the bell on or whatever, but we have to tell a more sophisticated story as to what's going on. We have to get people to understand just a little bit more, because if not, then it's going to be difficult to convince them to do the things that need to be done in order to shift things around.
Do many people know that Greenland and Antarctica are land masses?
Well, a lot of people don't have a lot of lack of geographic knowledge.
With like miles of ice on top, yeah.
I mean, most people, when you would say North Pole, South Pole, the Arctic, Antarctica, which one has land, which one doesn't have land? How big is Greenland? Is Greenland an island? Is it made of ice? Like shit like that. People like, you could ask people things like, is Australia an island? Or, where is, what's the difference between Africa and South America? Like there's all kinds. I bet you, if you went out on the street and you had a set of 20 questions that were really, really basic questions that like, what's the capital of Texas? I bet people would be like, I have no idea, like,
is it Austin?
I think it is Austin.
Yes, it's Austin.
I was just thinking right when I said that, I was like,
oh shit, I don't even know.
What's the capital? It is Austin. Yeah.
What's the capital of Ohio? Cleveland or Columbus?
Who cares?
I want to say it's Columbus, but I don't know.
So
I think it is Columbus. I don't think Cleveland.
It is Columbus. Yeah.
How many of you saw the PragerU thing yesterday where he was interviewing this guy from Texas who was talking about the locusts from California? That basically the liberals are leaving California because they fucked it all up, and they're moving into Texas and they're moving into the good states, and he calls them the locusts. And he's talking about how they're bringing their woke values into Texas and they're screwing it up. And then I came up with the idea of amoeba mandering, which means when a liberal person moves into your Republican community, you do the gerrymandering, you just draw a circle around his house like a pseudopod from an amoeba, and absorb that little liberal vote and basically balance it off some way. But anyway, that was also on PragerU, the same people that put out these wonderful children's videos. It's like, oh my God.
I saw an article in not New York Times, the Washington Post, that said something about like it's like it was like today. About a number of generals have been making strong recommendations around what's going to happen in 2024 with like subversion or not subversion.
Oh, yeah.
With what's the term? Sedition.
Yeah.
Insurrection.
Like, insurrection. Like that they're going to. It's going to be more complicated. That we're going to need to be able to deal with it. And like I heard somebody say, like it's not going to be a frontal assault. It's not going to be like this like straightforward assault. It's going to be a little bit more sophisticated, and like we need to be prepared for that.
When I hear the word insurrection now, I always think 2021 January 6th.
Yep, it's perfect. My goodness. And it just
they're getting real serious about that now with the chief of staff, I hear.
Yeah, they're never gonna pull anything off though. I don't know. We'll see. Somebody
put the
in jail.
They put the QAnon shaman guy in jail, didn't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, nobody that matters is going to jail. Okay.
Yeah, like Ted Cruz, Mark Meadows, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, people like that.
Well, I
Yeah,
heard them
Donald
talk.
Trump doesn't matter.
I heard they were talking openly about him, about Donald Trump in the proceedings, just saying, just very openly that he's the one who did who initiated the whole insurrection.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, if you have a group of people who see an opportunity to use a very small group, a subset of folks who are ignorant and like can be manipulated and can kind of like there could be like this astroturf, like artificial, like natural artificial grassroots efforts to try to drum people up, but based on like a strategy that you have, but you can actually mold people to get them to kind of, it almost seems like it's natural, like they were naturally saying these things, but really it's a crafted message that like has been shaped. Like we know for a fact that like Trump and those guys were able to really tap into that stuff in the last election. I think that like the kind of the insurrection type stuff can be tapped into by people. They can tap into it and if they see it as an opportunity to like to take control, and they can use people. So
now,
what was that?
My impression is that the Civil War never actually ended.
Yeah, it didn't really.
Of course not. I mean, in order to do that, we would have had to kill every racist person. That's just not feasible or moral.
We have still been fighting the Civil War since 1865. Is that what you're saying?
I think in more of a flowery sense, but yes.
We have an opportunity here to change our minds and let them go. Let the South go.
Well, then the price of fried chicken is going to go up, though. Delicious fried chicken.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
That could affect Canada too, man. Be careful.
Well, there'd be like there'd be Canada, and then Northern United States, and then the South, or what could we call them?
Trumplandia. Probably want to be called the Deep South, I imagine.
White cracker.
No, that sounds too much like the Deep State. Oh, speed using racial slurs. Oh no! He said the C word. Ooh.
White cracker land.
It's a good thing you're not on Twitch because you would be getting banned.
Oh, really?
They probably called.
No, literally, they're banning people for calling white people crackers.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I'm proud to be a cracker.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I like crackers.
That's a very controversial topic. Yeah.
Is it really?
That the cracker topic? Yeah, I think so.
Well, I guess I haven't kept up.
In the last like month or so, that topic has kind of been somewhat controversial.
Yeah, well, Hassan Piker got banned off Twitch for calling a bunch of people, white people, some stupid fucking crackers, and then Vosh was talking about it and didn't actually like say it referring to anybody, but just said cracker, and then he got banned, and then there was somebody else that like Fawn or somebody like that got banned for using it too. Yeah.
I guess it's fair. Jesus Christ, are we? How many bad words are we going to have? We used to have 7 of them. Then we decided those were okay, and now we're quickly adding more. It's like
it's okay. They can take away the word cracker. I'll just call the white people Motzi skins.
Matzah skin.
Well, now I'll know what you're talking about when you say matzah skin. So,
as in mozzarella.
Yep, you goddamn Motzis, you fucking Motzi skins. Motzi skin motherfuckers.
Yeah. Holy shit, are we dwindling? 5 watching. Wow.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
that's awesome.
You must have insulted them, Speed, when you said
the
C word.
Who did I piss off?
Really?
There are some people that are like really butthurt about that. It's kind of, I don't know.
Really?
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's just such a complicated topic to discuss. And it depends on the particular, because there's different concepts of racism. There's racism as like the average person understands it. And then there's racism as like a PhD sociologist understands it. Like what connotation of racism are we using? Like, is it just any form of discrimination along the lines of race or ethnicity? Or are we including things that it has to do some sort of legitimized harm, that it has to be, embedded in some sort of power differential where somebody's sort of punching down, if you will? Like, there's just so many fucking ways that you can really parse out what racism is, and whether or not calling a white person cracker is racist, I think is ultimately going to depend on which particular connotation you employ.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I push back against racism. I think, Leo, you've heard me push back against it before. But
many a time.
Yeah, many times. Okay. I'm aware of one time. So you were in that conversation, but that was
picture you just put up.
Well, there's been a couple times on Twitter, Randolph, people have accused you of racism, and I really thought about jumping in, but I was reading your comments, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay quiet. He's a grown man. I think he can handle himself.
I welcome any support because I think it's, and I appreciate that. And I think any time, even if it's a small pushback, somebody just as much as saying, hey, I agree, yeah, this is not good to say this because this comes across this way. It all adds up, it all compounds, and then the bigots get more pressure against them, and hopefully even if it turns one bigot to rethink their attitude and stop promoting racist ideals, that's a major benefit for us in the long run, even though it may not be so noticeable now. So, and that's why I push back, because I think the more people that do, the better it is for society, because we need to show people that, hey, this is not acceptable. And speaking up, even if just one word speaking up is quite good. I encourage people. I don't require it, but I certainly encourage it. So feel free next time,
Right on. Yeah.
I appreciate that you noticed that. Thank you.
I'm the kind of person where racism, bigotry, xenophobia, discrimination, prejudice, misinformation, disinformation, all that stuff, if I see it, I call it out, because at least around me, you can do whatever you want on your own time if I'm not around, but if you're around me, don't do it, because I'm gonna call you the fuck out. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah,
and I think you're right when you say that if we call people out on this, that sort of almost ingrains in our society this idea that these things are not acceptable, which pushes people to look, maybe they still believe in the ideals, but they're not actively endorsing them publicly. They're staying quiet about it.
This is true of all forms of discrimination as well. Discrimination against LGBTQ people, and discrimination against people on the autism spectrum, and all kinds of other things, and on it goes. And
I get that all the time.
We're all the same species. We are a tremendously diverse species, and instead of dividing, if we're kind of all working together, it's a much more beautiful picture, and we can do so much more, accomplish so much more, have a better quality of life for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
know.
why
I'm preaching to the choir here.
there's some people in our little community that will remain unnamed just because I'm a nice guy that still talk about like say the R word like retarded and stuff and talk about people spurging out and everything. And it's like, oh, well, I have autism. And it's like, sure. But if a black person was going around talking about black people and referring to them as N words with the hard R and, talking, reinforcing certain stereotypes about them, that's still bad. Just because they're black doesn't like give them a pass there. Because when you say, oh, we got everybody in the room, they're spurging out. What this does is this reinforces the false stereotype that autistic people are like more prone to meltdowns and freakouts and can't control themselves. And there might be like an extremely small kernel of truth to that within a very narrow and very nuanced connotation, but broadly that is a harmful stereotype that continues to perpetuate the stigma that surrounds people that have neuroatypical what word do I want to look at? What word I'm it's not a handicap. I don't use the word handicap, and I don't like word
I think is the term I've heard.
The neurodivergent. What's the word that I want to follow with that?
But
it's not
I
handicap.
It's
not a disability.
To neurodiverse. But yeah,
neuroatypical behavior. That's the way I'll put it.
Oh, okay, yeah, and the thing is, with all the diversity, to me, atypical is quite a blurred concept.
Yep. And the thing is, the professionals will say that, like, what does it mean to be normal? But there is still technically a working academic usage for normal in the realm of, like, psychology and everything. And so, I mean, most of them will grant that they're, outside of that, normal is not really objectively defined. But within the academic framework, they do have a definition.
Well, in society, it just generally, I think colloquially, it just is kind of more like generally not uncommon or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That. Yeah.
Things that are usual,
not like
typical,
way off the mark. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Andrew Cumming has some things to say about this picture, by the way.
You didn't like that?
I'm not surprised he does.
He says
I'm sure he'd say it's really bad phylogeny.
He pointed out in the text chat to me that it's not an accurate depiction anymore. It never was, I guess. It's just not accepted as an accurate depiction of evolution.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, what are you doing?
Yeah, Scott, what are you doing, Scott?
What's going on? What's the question?
You are awake. I'm just checking to see if you're awake.
Yeah, I'm just going through some YouTube videos to see if I want to watch them.
Oh.
Hey, Speed,
Are there any YouTube videos tonight that came out? Let me check on my little device. I have a
Speed, I have a question.
What is it?
So you wrote up there on your little picture you have actual metaphysics in green. What's the difference between metaphysics and actual metaphysics?
What do you want to know?
I do.
Really want to know.
I'm very curious about that, actually, yes.
Okay, most people think metaphysics is about things like brain in a vat, whether there's gods, idealism.
Remember, Leo, you asked.
Matrix, like, living in the matrix, that sort of thing. For some reason, that's not showing up. I don't know why. But anyway, so that's what people think. But what those actually are is they are cognitive complexes that we put together in our minds. Like we might say timeless, spaceless, all-powerful, thinking agency, all good, all-knowing, and call that a metaphysical basis for the universe. But in the same way, we can say, okay, there's a rhino. It has antlers. It has polka dots. It's purple, and it has red socks on. So you're not doing anything different. The problem with this kind of metaphysics, you see that M up there with the N, the subscript N?
Yeah, M sub N.
There are an infinite number of just so stories you can tell yourself that involve these cognitive complexes, right? And like when people talk about God, they're just putting together a bunch of words in a meaningless way, just like rhino plus antlers. So they're taking concepts that we understand, like, I don't know, we don't really understand timeless, do we? Or spaceless? I don't know. But anyway, they're putting together a bunch of concepts. Well, real metaphysics involves things like what does it mean for there to be two particles that are arranged together or to be close to each other or far apart. The nature of space and time itself would be real metaphysics. Like what is the possibilities with space and time? Like one possibility is that two particles, which are separated by 3 inches, that there's no space at all. That actually it's a relationship between those two particles that generates the space, or the idea of space between them. So that would be like a mathematical transform. You take a non-linear transformation on space-time to get rid of space entirely, that sort of thing. But that's real metaphysics. And then where we are is these little circles R1 and R2. So R1 is the place we all live. It's the natural world that we know how to operate in. You know, we're organisms. We move around the natural world. We have minds that help us build forts and, you know, shovel snow and all that stuff. R2 is sort of an extension of that, where we've taken science and we tried our very best understanding of the universe, of all that's around us, of this natural world, right? So outside of that, there's like this underlying metaphysics, and I call these philosophers that talk about brain in the vat and gods and idealism and all that shit, I call them naive. I call it naive metaphysics, naive idealism and all that stuff. And it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can make up as many stories as you want. They would all account for the universe, like idealism, right? Like it's all in my mind, solipsism. Everything's all in my mind. I could say, oh, that accounts for everything. Well, so do an infinite variety of other metaphysical systems that you can make up with these cognitive complexes by just filling in an idea, right? Just so story. But all in all, these things like rhinos and antlers and polka dots, they exist inside that R1. They're things that we're familiar with because of the natural world has those things, right? So anyway, that's what the diagram means. But
right on. Yeah, that makes sense. There is somebody that you really ought to have a talk with. You might have heard of them, Bernardo Castro.
Yep, I have.
I would also like to have a discussion with him, just because I just think it would be just a good, productive discussion to have, and I'd probably learn something about idealism too.
I am planning on reaching out to him. Basically.
I hear he's pretty amicable about coming on channels and talking with people about his views. So
yeah,
people have told me he is quite amicable about coming on and talking about that stuff if he's got the time. So that's always pretty promising to hear.
Yeah, I saw that debate with him and
Oppie.
Yeah, with Grandma.
That was good. That was really good. I wish Oppie would have pushed back more.
I know.
But the thing is that because Bernardo Castro brought up some physics stuff, and I wouldn't put it quite on the level of like inspiring philosophy, but I'd say it's about halfway there, if you know what I mean. So it was because he holds to relational quantum mechanics is developed by Carlo Rovelli. I do as well, and I don't think that it. And not necessarily that Castro would argue this, but just to state it matter of factly, I don't think that RQM would commit one to an idealistic view.
Yeah, I don't think Oppie could quite get his mind around what the hell the guy was claiming.
Yeah, I think the Oppie was just a little lost as to Castro's metaphysics. I think that just Oppie was struggling to kind of wrap his head around what a lot of it meant, and because there were people that I knew that said that they thought it was more of a learning opportunity for Oppie, but not like in the sense that he got schooled, in the sense that he was engaging with an idea that's, and I don't want this to come off as me like trying to say that Castro's ideas aren't legitimate, because while I do disagree with them quite vehemently, I would say that I do think they have some legitimacy, but I think it was just, this is something that Oppie hadn't really been exposed to. These were ideas that I would wonder, at least in terms of specifically Castro's metaphysics, I would wonder whether Oppie's really had the chance to engage and really think about those things such that he could provide some of those more meaningful responses. Which, I mean, it's not like this was a debate anyway. At least I don't think, well, maybe it was. I think there was debate in the title, but.
I'll come right out and say that I don't think Castro got his mind around what Castrop was saying either. He didn't present a coherent view as far as I could tell.
I feel like I followed along with some of what he was saying, or at least I felt like I was like, okay, I think I get where he's going with it. But I will say I do think that the way Kastrup presented his view was, I'm not going to sit here and say it's like illegitimate or anything, not that anybody else is necessarily saying that, but I definitely think it wasn't presented in the most palatable way. It was not presented in a way that I would expect the average person to walk away from it, like, thinking about it. The average person, I think, would walk away from that having no fucking clue what just happened. They'd be like, what the fuck were we just talking about?
The Avogade request.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mute. But anyway,
Leo, I got Leo Anders asking you a question, and I don't know how long ago that was. Not too long ago. So maybe he's still there.
he could be. We have 7 watching.
Yeah,
now, so we're gonna.
Quantum revolution. I hear that a lot. I think it just refers to the paradigm shift that happened in physics as we went from classical to quantum mechanics. The difference largely is going to be construed. It can be hard to explain the difference between classical and quantum mechanics, because if you look at it from nothing more than the perspective of the physics, it's more of like a gray area between them, not like a defined line. But there's just a variety of, there's so many things that do make the quantum realm different from the classical realm. I guess for me, I would say that one of the biggest differences is going to be in just the intrinsic structure of the equations. Variables are not given as being determinate or determinable, I should say, or definite prior to or independent of measurement. Whereas at least, and again, this is more of that gray area. In classical mechanics, there are areas where you can really blur the line between what's known as physical realism, or the idea that measurements for whatever, the quantities for some measurement on a system are determinable, are definite and determinable prior to and independent of measurement. That, say, this lighter is red, and it probably looks a little orange to you guys, but it's red. Just go with it. This lighter's being red it's still red, even though none of you can see it. Yeah. So the quality of it being red is not dependent on how you measure the lighter. I could measure it over here and it's red. I could flip it upside down and it's red. I could turn it and then move it over here and it's still red. But when I start getting down to quantum objects, that's just not true anymore. I might take an electron and measure it this way and then measure it this way, and all of a sudden I get a completely different measurement for the same fucking property on the same electron. So that, I mean, the biggest difference is just going to be, and at quantum mechanics, the properties that systems and states have are just not as, they're much more, they're relational to the types of transformations you perform on the systems that determine what you measure. Whereas, at least largely in classical mechanics, that's just not the case.
I was just reading a little Massimo Pigliucci today.
Massimo Pigliucci?
Yeah, Pigliucci, Denying Evolution. Anyway, from 2002, Scientific Fundamentalism and the True Nature of Science. And he was pushing back on scientism, but then he went on to talk about one of these idealists, and they can't, one of their first points was, okay, the first point is that, let's see, both claim things are not as they seem, that sort of thing. The idea that, the fallibility of the senses and all that. And this is one of these, I don't know. Anyway, it's a good book on denying evolution. It's about creationism, scientism, and the nature of science. Mm-hmm. And he had some pretty harsh things. Well, he explained the history of scientism and the word and what it meant and all of that stuff. And it was kind of very interesting. But
I did want to say, though,
it's got a wonderful cover. Let's see if I can show it to you.
When I hear, especially with regards to physics, like especially quantum mechanics, when I hear, oh, well, things aren't as they seem,
Yeah, I know.
I guess I'm at this point, I'm over these drastic oversimplifications of what quantum mechanics is. It's not this ethereal, mystical, esoteric thing. It's just, I mean, sure, it's a little bit non-intuitive, but there are very good reasons for that I don't really, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to try to outline here. But quantum mechanics is not magic. It's just math.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's not just math, but that's the phrase. That's the phrase that I give the saying.
Math that works really well.
Yeah, I mean, too many people look at it as if it's like this mystical, magical, thing. That it's just physical model that we use for describing and predicting reality. Yeah, it's a little non-intuitive. That's because we're describing scales that we don't exist at, that we don't directly experience, and so we can't build an intuition of. So naturally, they're not going to fit well within our intuition. I mean, so
I guess if we talk about quantum consciousness, that's just a no-go. That's a
well, we can talk about it, but I'm not very amicable to those ideas just because they're not very well substantiated, I would say.
Yeah, that's one of those Deepak Chopra things.
Oh, and I do see Andrew has another question. Are there any quantum mechanical interpretations where consciousness is needed for wave function collapse? Yes, there's only one that I know of, and that's one that was never really strongly adhered to, is not adhered to, or even really talked about today, and was abandoned by both of the men who founded it, and that was the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation, or the consciousness causes collapse interpretation. But the thing is, and there would be people that would disagree with what I'm about to say because it does depend on your interpretation, but it is largely agreed by the professionals that the wave function is not an ontically real thing, and thereby wave function collapse is not an ontically real physical process, and thereby couldn't be affected by consciousness.
Correct. Nice. I like the way you put that. Very good. Randolph, you held up a book earlier to the camera, didn't you? Was that?
Sorry, I held up a book?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought you were holding up a book to the camera.
Oh, no, I was just passing a piece of paper to somebody. I was just...
okay.
It was not related to the conversation. I apologize.
We almost...
I should have blanked the screen first.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, guys, how about if we shoot her in the head?
It's your stream. You do what you want, buddy.
Yeah, people keep telling me that. I hate making decisions.
Yeah, this is your stream.
No,
I thought it was a good stream.
Last 2 hours.
A number of interesting topics, and I'm glad that we went into these different directions. And it was nice to have a guest on who tried to challenge us. It's a shame that he left as early as he did.
Yeah, but he came back right before you came back. He came back for like 2 seconds, and then he left again.
I remember that.
Oh, wait, whoa, hold on here. Randolph, my guy. Let's do a little shout out. So, come on, calendar, you fucking okay, give me a second here. God, why? You can't just... Anyway,
is it the upcoming debate you're thinking of?
Yes, this coming Tuesday, the 21st of this month at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, I believe. Yes. Our good friend Randolph will be debating Nadir Ahmed on Islam versus atheism, which is best for humankind, on Modern Day Debate. So you should go set your reminders. I probably will not be able to watch that live, given it starts right when The Curse of Oak Island starts, but I will definitely be rewatching that one.
Thank you, Leo. I appreciate your support and your encouragement on this. This will be my first formal debate with a Muslim, so it'll be a learning experience for me.
And I do not know anything about this Muslim in particular, so I can't tell you what to expect.
My understanding is he is cordial, so it's not going to turn into a dumpster fire or anything. It'll be quite a good debate, I'm hoping. So, and my experience in modern day debate is most of them have turned out to be quite good and quite interesting. And there it is, up on Speed of Sound stream, the one in the middle.
Okay,
that's the one.
We'll put a link in to that in the description.
Thank you very much. I'll be promoting it my Twitter account and again on Discord very soon.
Good.
I already did that once. I'll be doing it again.
Now, these are the kind of debates I just can't watch because is Santa based in Satanism? C.J. Cox versus Alex Stein, the guy from fucking Conspiracy
Oh my God.
Council. If you said beer cans are made of aluminum, he would disagree with you and argue that they're made of like I don't know, like moon rock or fucking something stupid.
Baby
like that.
teeth.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
if a beer
something.
Leo, can you imagine if a beer company started making their beer cans out of moon rock and
I wanna
used that
drink
as a
that beer.
marketing ploy? How many people would buy that at NASA?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
New
yeah,
from NASA, the $38,000 beer.
there's something that I want to talk about, but I'm not sure if I want to talk about it publicly yet. But anyway, I think we'll shoot her in the head.
Can I say one more thing before we start?
Thank you, everyone.
You
Because
can.
Andrew made it. He said, adding on to what Leo said, quantum states are not the weird realm here. We are the outlying quantum state. And he's right. Quantum states really aren't weird. In fact, I would say that quantum states are also not really a real thing. Quantum states are just whatever whatever particular measurement you happen to make on interacting systems, and what you measure will be relative to how you measure the system, what system you're measuring, from where you're measuring the system, and against which you're measuring the system, which is why two people can measure an electron. One person will see it in a definite eigenstate for, say, its position, whereas the other person will see it in a superposition of states with the other person who measured it. How did they both get to completely different measurements for the same object that they measured in the same place at the same time? Because they measured it from two completely different perspectives.
And I guess it would be weird only in the sense of our own understanding of this being, I guess, new concepts and whatnot and unusual to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And about the moon thing?
Probably a big misunderstanding of probability.
What's up, Top Dog?
Probably.
About the moon, if we started being able to mine the moon, we take the gravity from the moon, material from the moon,
And make
gravity
your own.
adding to Earth, and then minusing it from the moon itself, and things would go haywire after a while.
Well, the way to
Yeah,
solve
they
that
probably
problem is to make sure there's long-term beer storage on the moon that fills in that space all the time, and then it'll always be
I'm
balanced.
just wondering if they can find enough water on the moon to justify a brewery up there.
Oh no, I said beer storage. I didn't say production.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to production.
Yeah,
that'd
Scott's
probably
taking the
save a
real
lot.
capitalist view here and looking, okay, how can we maximize our profit here? What can we do?
Growing the barley and hops, though, I don't know.
That'd
maybe.
be a little
Okay. Boys and girls were shooting it in the head.
Oh,
Goodbye,
let a guy
cool
dream,
girls.
man.
Yeah.
Stay
goodbye.
curious.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.